constellations, I'm mapping the stars. Wallets full of dreams, I'm stacking the bars. Digits dance, decimals do the samba. Market's a jungle, I'm Tarzan in the drama. Blockchain spinning, a digital parade. I'm the tour guide, through the mess we wade. Huddle or fold, the question burns. In this game of risk, the tables turn. Good morning, crypto, I light up the haze. Guiding the lost through these crypto waves. From FOMO to fortune, I'm paving the ways. BC Port Corp, your lighthouse ablaze. Bull stampede, bears in hibernation. I'm the translator for the strange equation. Ether rising, Bitcoin flexing, altcoins whisper, I'm here dissecting. Rug pulls lurking, shadows in the mist. I see the red flags, they don't make my list. Whales making splashes, minnows feel the quake, but I'm the steady hand when the markets shake. I'm the translator for the strange equation. Ether rising, Bitcoin flexing, altcoins whisper, I'm here dissecting. Rug pulls lurking, shadows in the mist. I see the red flags, they don't make my list. Whales making splashes, minnows feel the quake, but I'm the steady hand when the markets shake. Ablaze.
Step 1, wake up early, go rise the sun. Step 2, you're some good, some food in you. Step 3, you grow hard about what you want to be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Good morning, and welcome to Good Morning Crypto, where we turn your early hours in the morning into your edge and financial freedom. Today, I've got a few headlines to go over. One of them is going to be about what's going on with the Fed. You know, they've been having a consensus for quite a while on where rates should go, and quite recently, we've seen quite a divergence from that. Apparently, not only the traders don't know what the government should do, the government doesn't know what the government should do. So, we will get into that one. We're also seeing some worrying signs from the job numbers. We will have to see if that gives us a higher chance for a rate cut or not. But before we get into all of that, let's dive on in and get you prepped for some success today, because we are seeing a little bit of movements this morning. We've got Apple looking to the downside, down 0.5%. We've got Nvidia down 0.37%. Berkshire Hathaway up 0.29%. We've got Amazon up 0.82% this morning. We've got Eli Lilly sitting down 0.03%, looking quite neutral. We've got ExxonMobil also looking extremely neutral this morning. No percent change on the board. We've got Tesla down 0.43%. We've got P&G down 0.12%. We've got Microsoft down 0.09. We've got Google up 4.66% this morning. And we've got Meta up 0.16. Might have to take a look at that Google chart. There was definitely some news coming out of that one. I didn't get that one on the list though. So we might have to go over that news tomorrow. But we can take a look at that chart today. We are seeing some moves out of the crypto side as well. We're getting some nice green bubbles starting up here this morning. We were sitting a red pretty much across the board a little bit earlier, but we did get a little bit of some upside. Still seeing just a little bit of red on this hourly though. We will have to see if we can break above some resistance, turn it into some support, and really get back up to some levels we would like to see. Otherwise, we called out the area to keep your eye on last week. We do have Bitcoin down 0.1%. We've got Ethereum up 0.9%. We've got XRP up 1.4%. We've got BNB up 0.1%. Solana sitting up 1.4%. We've got Tron down 0.7%. Dogecoin up 0.4%. We've got Cardano down 0.5%. We've got Hyperliquid down 0.7, starting to see a lot of green here when you step out of that top 10. We've got Bitcoin Cash up 1%, Chainlink up 0.2%. We've got Leo token up 0.5%, Stellar Lumens up 1%. We've got Litecoin sitting down 3.8% and Avalanche up 0.9%. Hopping over to the fear and greed, we're still sitting in some extreme fear over here on the stock side. Not too unexpected, we got that massive move towards the downside. Now we're waiting to see if we can get a little bit of news coming out that gives people some hope to buy back in, because we saw a lot of money going over to the Dixie. You know, the Dixie has stabilized, and that's normally when you see some money flowing into that. On the crypto side of things, not too unexpected, we're sitting in extreme fear. We do have that ability to go just a little bit lower before we see some bouncing. We will get to that chart in just a second though. Here on this daily, we've got quite a bit of liquidity directly above us. We will kind of have to see if we can get above $96,000. That's where all of that liquidity resides towards the upside there. It stops at about 96,800, so that's that kind of topping point to watch for on the daily. We've got quite a bit of liquidity towards the downside as well though. Taking a look, that's all the way down at 92,800. We will kind of have to see if we make our way down there, because that's right where that fair value gap that I was calling out last week is sitting. Nice little area to kind of find some support and grabs up some liquidity to really allow for some bouncing action towards the upside. We do have this 3-day looking quite similar, with some liquidity towards the downside and quite a bit of liquidity towards the upside here. We're looking at 97,600 for that top side liquidity. That would be the area that really clears most of that out here. But we do have to keep an eye on that downside as well. That's sitting pretty much at that same spot, 92,300. So keep your eye on that downside if we can't reclaim some local support here. Local resistance. Let me get that to the 2 week so you can get that view just a little bit better there. If it'll load there you kind of see we've cleared out a lot of the liquidity in our local ranges here. We'll just have to see if we can find that support back where we were talking about. Let's get over to that economic calendar for today. We finally got the government open, and that means we're going to get a little bit of data. Today, we don't have a whole lot going on though. Scrolling on down here, getting over to the US, we do have ISM manufacturing PMI. That'll be coming out at 10 a.m. Eastern time. Keep your eye on that data. Scrolling on down, we also have some more Fed speeches. Keep your eye on those. We have been seeing a divergence from the consensus. We've got Fed Daily speaking at noon. we've got Fed Cook speaking at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Scrolling on down just a little bit further, you can kind of see we don't have much data coming out Tuesday, so keep your eye on Wednesday's data. We will be getting those FOMC minutes. That'll be a big market mover. Where was that? I'm pretty sure that was Wednesday, or was it Thursday there? Thursday? We'll get to it when we get to it. But Bitcoin looking quite nice as we've gotten just a little bit of cool off on the daily. But before we get to all of that, let's say good morning to the people in the chat. We've got JR first in the chat this morning. Good morning to you, sir. Hope you're having a great day. He said he's been doing really well on his trading, and that's always great to hear. Let's see who else we got in here. We got Conspiracy Crypto in the chat. Good morning to you. We've got Jay in here. We've got Crypto Bedell. We've got Steve Hickey, Donato Cabrera, Curtis Hill in here as well. Good morning to all of you. Hope you're having a great day so far. We've got Al Jr. in the chat. Good morning to you. And we've got All Set JR looking for 85 to 92. That's pretty close to some levels that I was looking at as well. So we'll kind of have to see if we can start finding some support, because I do think we have that ability to get a nice little bounce, really clear out some of that liquidity that was up here towards the top side, still put in a lower high, and then really get some stronger downside movements. But if you zoom this on out, take a look at that weekly chart, you're starting to see something a little bit interesting on that prime oscillator. You are at the point where you're starting to see just a little bit of bottoming here. We have got quite the sell-off. I would look for more of a sideways movement. It is what we got in the last cycle. Let's get that history pulled on up there. As you can see, we got that massive sell-off, a little bit of sideways movements here before we got that nice little move back towards the upside. We also kind of got that here as well, a nice little sell-off, move sideways, and then a little bit of a last chance to sell off. So if we're in that same position there, which looks very similar here, where you got that nice little up and then up. This one was, instead of equal highs, more of a higher high there. You've got that nice little triple topping action there, and then a nice little sell-off. So to see a little bit of sideways momentum before you get that nice little pushback towards the upside, really grab up that last little bit of liquidity that you can, give people that last ability to sell off before you really dump towards the downside, would be something to kind of keep your eye on. We are below our bull market support as well. We closed that candle underneath it. We've been holding that from the beginning of the run. So definitely seeing some worrisome signs here. We do have this fair value gap, also a CME gap, which is right here at $92,000, ranging all the way to 88.5. So a nice little area to kind of come back down to, really see if we can find some support in that level. Probably range a little bit sideways there, continue to cool off some of those oscillators, because that MACD does need a little more cool off before we could potentially see that move towards the upside. We're just starting to break below that zero line on that MACD here, and we're not really seeing any sideways momentum step in. We've got heavy selling pressure here on the weekly, but you're starting to see just a little bit of some hopium signs stepping on in on that prime oscillator, with that true 7 clipping out, and that prime oscillator almost at a point where you could see some bottoming. Let's get that over to the daily here. Daily also looking quite similar, except you're actually starting to see just a little bit of curvature here. As we said, we still have a little bit of liquidity directly towards the downside. That was $92,000. That'd be a nice little area to really come back down to, clear out liquidity on, and then give you that ability to push back up towards the upside, where we had some liquidity sitting directly above us. We'll kind of have to see if we can get a few more reversal signals starting to flash on the daily, or if we're just going to range sideways for now. So those are those two real big options here. We clear out liquidity, get a little bit of a pump, or we clear out liquidity and just range sideways for a little bit. Definitely have had several weeks of sideways action. When we're starting to get that stronger move towards the downside, need to really cool off those oscillators, allow for that move back towards the upside that gives people that last chance to really get out. So looking for that $92,000 range still. We are seeing just a little bit of some curvature back here on the hourly. I was in a short this morning, still kind of looking at that move towards the downside. Like I said, $92,000 looks like a nice little area to potentially see some bouncing, but this hourly definitely getting that heavy curvature here. Let me get it moved over just a little bit so you can see that prime oscillator better. As you can see here, we're still putting in some lower highs, and we've got those lower lows to contend with as well. We've got quite a bit of liquidity sitting underneath our lows from Asia, so that'd be that move to kind of watch for. We do have that VWAP holding us up as support for now, but we can definitely lose that if we start seeing that money flow coming out with some strength again. And that money flow was sitting barely in the green this morning as we got that bounce off of VWAP, and now we're starting to lose that buying pressure all over again. Money flow sitting in the red here on the hourly as we're getting that curvature on the prime oscillator and curvature on that MACD as well. Starting to see that slow up on the histogram as well. We'll kind of have to see if we can hold the VWAP for a little bit before we get that stronger move towards the downside with stronger selling pressure coming on in. Heavy curvature, says JR. Yeah, I definitely did say that. You know, it is some heavy curvature on that prime oscillator. Still sitting in the green now, so if we can find some support, that would be the move to kind of watch for. We are getting a little bit of bouncing off of that VWAP this morning, and we'll kind of have to see if we continue to hold that for a little bit. We are starting to see just a little bit of money flow coming on in here, but we do have a bearish divergence on that MACD as well, and we're getting that curvature back towards the downside here. But that big thing to keep your eye on, the volume is decreasing as that buying pressure is stepping on in. So looking like we could see that move towards the downside, but with that volume decreasing, we're waiting on that volume to start increasing. That volume would probably be to the downside here, unless you really get that strong bouncing off of VWAP, get above our London highs at about $96,000. That'd give you that ability to clear out all of the liquidity that is above us up to that 97,500 point. So keep your eye on that on those levels towards the downside. Potentially look for a little bit of bouncing on the way towards the downside to clear out some of that liquidity. I'm still favoring some downside for now, but I do think we get a little bit of bouncing action later this week. All right, we got any alt requests or stock requests for the morning? We've got some time to take a look at those. We've got Jay Violet in the house this morning. We've got Mark Dutch in here as well. Good morning to you. We've got Jesse Gluck sliding on in the chat. Good morning. We've got Ada requested by Bedell. That one's absolutely battered down, sitting below 50 cents there. You might want to hold off on some buying there, Bedell. Not financial advice, but just my thoughts. You know, Ada hasn't done absolutely amazing this cycle, but if it does stick around, you know, I would like to see a little bit lower prices before I would do some buying. That is just me, though. Let's see what's going on with those news articles for the day. We definitely had quite a bit to keep your eye on. I'm seeing virtuals requested as well. We can take a look at that one. What's going on with virtuals. I know we were getting a little bit of upside on it the other week. We will kind of have to see if we can get some continuation off of it. Virtual. There we go. Got that one on the list. This was a big one I was keeping my eye on. You know, we didn't get a whole lot of jobs data last month with the government being closed, but we saw some signs that are extremely worrisome. ADP was dropping some jobs data. We also got a little bit of some jobs data from the government as well. We will be getting some more this week, so keep your eye on that. Worst jobs data since 2003. Job losses increased 65% from the same point last year. I guess that news article undid. I don't know why. I don't know why it did, but oh well. There. That's something to kind of keep your eye on for this week. Those jobs numbers were looking absolutely terrible. That could give us that chance for a rate cut, though. So keep your eye on that data coming out this week. We do have this news article as well. You know, the Fed makes those rate decisions. Normally, they have a decent consensus about what is going on with the economy and what they're looking to do with the economic data they had. It's not surprising to see when they got no economic data that they didn't really have a good idea of what to do. And considering that we're probably not going to get some of the data from last month as well, which we'll be talking about here on Hodl the Line this evening, so keep your eye out for that one. They're not going to have a very good consensus about what they should do. So Jerome Powell's era of consensus at the Fed is over. I'm seeing Little Fish in the chat this morning. Good morning to you. We also got a request for Link. Link got some strong moves towards the downside levels we were talking about, and then we got that move towards the level we were talking about as well. So we can definitely take a look at that one. Jerome Powell's era of consensus is over. Federal Reserve policymakers are split over whether they should continue cutting interest rates, ending a period of consensus that defined Chair Jerome Powell's leadership at the central bank. The Fed's latest decision to lower interest rates by a quarter point in late October was opposed by two policymakers, one official who preferred to hold rates steady, and another who wanted a larger rate cut instead. A pair of opposing dissents has not been seen since 2019. Earlier this year, more than one Fed governor cast a dissenting vote for the first time in more than 3 decades. The growing divide among Fed officials has spilled out into public speeches in recent days, presenting a challenge for Powell as he works to retain consensus among colleagues. That division is a direct result of the uncertainty in the U.S. economy and questions around the impacts of President Donald Trump's aggressive trade policy. The murky economic outlook has divided the rate-setting committee, which is tasked by Congress to keep the labor market intact and to tame inflation. Some Fed officials want to continue to focus on reining in higher prices, believing that tariffs could jack up inflation. Other policymakers say it's time to prioritize a weakening labor market. We will kind of have to see what goes on as this continues. You know, we do get the job numbers for the first time from the federal government in 40 days. So that will be a big data drop to keep your eye on. This is a big battle in the Fed, whether we want to tame inflation or whether we want to help the jobs market. Either way, you're going to see a cost on either decision that they make. If they decide to cut rates, you're probably going to see inflation kind of start ticking back up, but you would have more people employed to kind of spend money to potentially get that inflation back under control. Or you could keep the whole rate steady, continue to see those jobs decrease while inflation kind of cools off a little bit more. Give yourself a little more power to put some money back into the market later without it having such a drastic effect. So we will kind of have to keep our eye on that jobs data this week and watch those Fed chair speeches, because you have been seeing that big divergence from the consensus, and that doesn't happen very often. It's normally in these more economic turmoil times where, you have inflation, you've got jobs data, or you've got things looking a little bit recessionary. Those are the big worrisome times where the Fed doesn't really know what to do, because there's not really a good move to make without causing some harm somewhere else. So keep your eye on that jobs data. We did have a few alt requests to take a look at. Black Friday coming up for TradingView. Oh, most definitely. Probably going to be spending a little bit of money on that one. Definitely is needed. One of the better discounts you can get. Let's see what's going on. Do you need another side mount? Oh my goodness, JR. Jay Violet with the hammer. Get him. Let's see what's going on with some gold. We were talking about some moves towards the downside for some gold, and that's pretty much exactly what we got. We had a level we were calling on out for some bouncing action for the short-term time frame. We didn't really get that bouncing action too strong, but we did get that nice stronger bounce at $4,029. We got that move back up to the zero line of our fib extensions there, and then we continue to see a little bit of sell-off. We are at a point where you could continue to see that sell-off though. That nice little higher low here is that move where you could potentially see either that bounce action towards the upside, which means we would kind of need to reclaim that one line there, or you see that continuation back down towards our platinum pocket here. We would have to break $4,029 first though. We are seeing that curvature both on that MACD and that prime oscillator here, so gold at that worrisome point where you could potentially see continuation towards the downside. MACD getting that break below our indicator line here. MACD get prime oscillator getting some curvature as well, and you're seeing that slow up of money flow. Volume's extremely low though, so you could definitely start seeing that bouncing action with an increase of volume as that money flow remains green. Keep your eye on that lower level we had called out before, $4,029. Let's get this zoomed on in. Take a look at that hourly though. You can kind of see we are in a little bit of a downtrend. We've got those lower highs coming on in, but we're seeing a lot less volatility here. So we just need some money flow to start coming back in here. Probably cool off those oscillators a little bit more as we have that strong resistance directly above us. We saw that one line come in as some resistance. Then we saw that short-term bouncing area we were looking for come in as some resistance. And we haven't really seen that strong money flow step back in here. Your volume's still extremely low here on the hourly. Money flow continuing to come on out here as you make those lower highs. You are making higher lows though, so to see that move break would probably end up being a downside move with how red that money flow is looking. That is that move I was kind of watching for. $4,029 looking like our strong support there. If we break below that, like I said, platinum pocket is that next real area to keep your eye on. That's all the way down at $3,900. We did have a few other things to take a look at this morning before we started diving into some alt requests there. One of those is the Dixie. The Dixie sitting at a level where you could potentially see a little bit of bouncing at. Doesn't mean in the shorter term time frame you don't get a little downside, but you're starting to see that money flow coming back into the dollar here. We do have some strong resistance directly above us at 100.3. and you're seeing this daily nice and cooled off here. You've got that prime oscillator looking like it could see a little more downside here, but you're starting to see just a little bit of sideways momentum's coming on in. That volume is looking nice and steady here, and we just got above the golden pocket today. We did see that nice little bounce up above it, rejected off of our strong resistance from back here, and then it dropped below the golden pocket. So now we're trying to get above that golden pocket, and with that increase of volume and the stock market selling on off, could definitely see that continue into the Dixie. The dollar has been seeing quite a bit of movement into it with those bonds. Taking a look here at the hourly, you can see that we might get a little bit more downside here. We're trying to hold the golden pocket this morning, but we've got plenty of topping signs here on the hourly to see a little bit of downside, not too unexpected. We are in a little bit of a shorter term time frame downtrend, but we've got those nice double bottoms that gave us that support back up towards the golden pocket where we saw those rejections, and now we're trying to turn that golden pocket into some support. But I would like to see a little more clear out of some liquidity here, as you definitely have some levels directly towards the downside here at about 99.2. So kind of keep your eye on that short-term bouncing zone. That would give you that higher low as we're trying to break the trend here. Let me get that marked on out for you. Screw that magnet. It is so annoying sometimes. There we go. 99.2. That is that area to kind of watch us hold. It does give us those higher lows on the macro. Kind of keep your eye on that 15-minute in the morning. You're seeing some divergences here as well as you're getting that curvature back towards the downside. Barely held that zero line here and continuing that move down. We are trying to hold that golden pocket though. See a little bit of bouncing off of that before you get that stronger move to the downside, and then that stronger correction back up with that market open in New York. So that's kind of what we're looking for there. We did have a few alt requests here. We got Silver Days XRP in the house. Good morning to you, sir. I appreciate that. Only 14 likes and 29 watching. Hit those likes. I appreciate that. We got Zbeck requested as well. We can definitely take a look at that one. Let me get that on the list. We wanted to take a look at Google because Google was getting a strong move towards the upside this morning. Let's see if it's continued on that. Yep. Continuing to see that strong move towards the upside there. Berkshire Hathaway acquired 4.9 billion in Google this morning. So that is a big part of why it's getting that strong move towards the upside. We will kind of have to see if we can get some continuation off of that. We do have some levels directly towards the upside to kind of keep your eye on. We are at a resistance zone right now on Google with that pre-market open. Let's get that horizontal ray drawn on out there. That's coming in at 292.41. Pre-market getting that move towards the upside does mean we'll have that giant CME gap. We will kind of have to see where that CME gap opens up at market open though. Can't really draw it out just now. They bought the Google top. Hey, Google's making some big moves in AI. Over the long term, probably not a bad move. Maybe in the short term, they might lose some money. But, big moves towards the upside there. Could definitely see some moves a little bit towards the downside, but nice and bottomed here on the hourly. We will kind of have to see if that daily can get a little bit of continuation there, because it is getting just a little bit of rollover, but that money flow looking nice and solid on the daily. The big thing we're seeing across the board though is the weeklies are starting to look a little toppy. So Google on that daily, on that weekly is looking just a little bit toppy there. We do have that strong resistance at 292. To see us hold some downside levels though would kind of be what I would watch for. If you can hold 263 with a little bit of downside movements, then you can definitely continue towards the upside there. Weekly weekly charts don't always play out that strong. It does take a whole lot of time to really see that move play out. You do have some levels below that to kind of keep your eye on, but our very, very strong support below that 262 is 237. So if we lose that, then there's quite a bit of movements towards the downside to keep your eye on. That next one would be about $203. Dutch, you making a great point. Just a tax write-off. Yeah, especially when you're dealing with that much money, you know? If Buffett can buy Google now, does that mean I can buy Zek? I mean, you could have any time, but I do have a little more faith in something like Google over the long term, and Buffett plays the long-term game. So Google has been making some massive moves in the AI space. They have some big partnerships that they just announced the other week as well, pairing with Meta. That's a big one to kind of keep your eye on. Google getting those nice strong moves towards resistance. We'll kind of have to see how far it's going to come on down though. Like I said, that daily was looking, that hourly was looking nice and bottomed. That daily could see just a little more downside here. We are trying to hold this area where we have those very equal highs. Equal highs often get swept, so you can clear out liquidity, and then you get that stronger move towards the downside. We would look for about 263 to hold, or 257. So a nice little zone directly below us on the shorter term time frame to really see some bouncing action on what Zek will take over Google easy, says JR. You're an absolute degen, sir. An absolute degen. How are we friends? We're so different there. Better move to Dubai or Monaco if you don't want to pay taxes, says Jesse Gluck. Hey, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with Dubai. I just don't. I'm just not wealthy enough to be able to purchase alcohol there, and that would be like the big problem. Also, you can't smoke weed. You can't smoke there either. That's a big no-no. They don't allow it, and I'm not wealthy enough to get away with it either. So, yeah, we are seeing that bottoming action here on the hourly. Definitely a nice point to really catch on some momentum. If we break 292, you've got some levels towards the upside to kind of keep your eye on. 322 is that next strong area towards the upside to really see some resistance. You've got 336 coming in above that one. So definitely got some levels towards the upside if you can break our local resistance and all-time highs to get that move back towards the upside. So few levels up there. I would like to see a little bit of cool off on those higher term time frames. Hourly is seeing that switch up of money flow here, so keep your eye on that. We did have a few requests to go over. We've got ADA, Virtuals, Link, and ZBEC. So we've got Link already pulled on up here. We were calling out some levels towards the downside. That was $13.57. We did get a little bit of wicking action below that this weekend, but we held $13.57 quite nicely. This was down here at about $13.42 wicking action on the daily, but these daily wicks held quite nicely above that on this red candle towards the downside and this green candle that gave us that move towards the upside there. We did get that move directly back up to $14.12 on those candle bodies, which was an area we were kind of looking for. Those wicks on that big red candle went pretty much exactly to some resistance that we were looking for on a shorter term time frame. Let's get that hourly pulled on up here, because you're seeing just a little bit of toppiness here as you're struggling to really get back above $14.12. We would need some strong money flow to really get that correction on that prime oscillator MACD. You are getting that curvature there. Let's take a look at that 4 hour real quick before we dive too heavy into that 1 hour, because you're seeing that sideways momentum here as well. Got up to 14.12, started printing that red candle here. you do have a bullish divergence. You would need some strong money flow for that to really play on out, though. We do have some strong resistance directly towards the upside as well. That's not only a short-term time frame resistance, but our local resistance for this move sideways. That's coming in at $14.54. We will kind of have to see if we can get some money flow this morning. Looking like we're just seeing some continued sell-off for now. We do have a nice little area directly towards the downside to kind of keep your eye on if we continue to see some sell-off. That's coming in at $13.83. That'd be a nice short-term bouncing zone. You are seeing that toppiness here on the short-term time frame as well. 15 minutes got a double bearish divergence printed. You've got that MACD sitting below your indicator line, starting to see a little bit of sideways momentum stepping on in, but you're losing your volume and your money flows not looking amazing. You've got that curvature to the downside on that prime oscillator as well. So to see a little bit of a move towards the downside might be that move to kind of watch for before you see that stronger bouncing area. Let's get that horizontal drawn out. Screw that magnet, $13.82. You can see we got that bouncing off of it there and that rejection there. So we'll kind of have to see if we come back to $13.82 before we see that stronger bouncing action. Let's get ADA pulled on up. That one was requested as well. Really struggling with 51 cents. We got that stronger rejection off of it. Let's get this pulled on up to a higher term time frame there. Daily starting to look nice and bottomed. But, you know, it does look pretty bottomed on the chart as well. Making new lows for some ADA lows we haven't seen in quite a while. We haven't been down to this point since about June. Really seeing that continuation of trend towards the downside. Looking quite similar to that Bitcoin chart there. Let's get it zoomed on in a little bit better. We would have to get back above 52 cents to really see any kind of bullish action. I would look a little bit further towards the downside. We are holding 47 cents for now. If we lose that, we've got 45 cents coming in as that next real support area. Cardano nice and battered down. Sometimes that's not a bad time to buy, but if we are going to start seeing some stronger moves towards the downside across the board in crypto, this might not be the time to buy, especially if Bitcoin goes down, like say another 5% to that 88,000, then Cardano's probably going to lose 45 cents. So that next real area to kind of keep your eye on would be back here at about 40 cents. And if you can't hold that, look into 36 cents. So those would be those levels I would kind of start looking at some buying. But it could definitely break levels that we haven't seen broken in quite a while. Talking 23 cents would be that nice better area to kind of watch for some decent buying. Don't pull that trigger early, Bedell. Do not pull that trigger early. We've got the hourly looking quite similar across the board, seeing that curvature towards the downside on that MACD and prime oscillator. Really struggling with the lows from back here, getting that curvature on price action, really seeing some volume start stepping back in, but looking like most of that volume stepping on in is some selling pressure there. Doesn't mean we can't get above our local area here. That's talking 49 cents. That would be our local resistance we need to get above before we can see any kind of bullish action there. We're seeing that nice sideways action directly underneath it. Your prime oscillator starting to look a little cooled off here on the 15-minute. Your MACD is getting a little sideways momentum as well. But you need that strong money flow coming on in. If you do see that break above 49, 52 cents would 1.5 cents will be that next real area to kind of watch for the upside. Nice little potential for some longs. If you continue to see that 49.5 cents coming in as some resistance, looking back towards the downside would be the move to watch for, especially with how those higher term time frames are looking there. Don't pull the trigger early, Bedell. Yeah, 23 cents would definitely be a good buy there. That's where I would probably end up doing some buying. So on the way towards the downside, I wouldn't do some buying on ADA, especially since normally those alts get hit a whole lot harder. We got virtuals requested. Let's take a quick look at that one. I'm not sure where I did my charting on it though. Let's see. Here we go. I'm pretty sure I did some charting on this one. There we go. Below that 236 there. Let's get it zoomed on out. Take a look at the daily. See what's going on. Still making those lower highs. We will kind of have to see if we can find some support directly below us at 96 cents. Looking like a nice little area to potentially see some shorter term bouncing at 98.78. Kind of keep your eye on that level there. We do have a little bit of bottoming here on the daily, so kind of keep your eye on some money flow here on the shorter term time frame. We are struggling with some local resistance, and you're starting to look extremely toppy there on the hourly. So to see a little more downside to get to that stronger support area, to see better money flow coming on in, would be that move to watch for. Trippy, I'm looking that up. Yeah. Hey, don't call our viewers noobs, lol. They want to stay. Oh my goodness. Hey, JR, not that long ago, you were a noob and you stuck around even though you got called a noob. So, you just call it as you see it. Let's see what's going on. We got $1.18 coming in as our local resistance. Definitely seeing that toppiness before we even got to that, but that money flow starting to get a little bit of curvature towards the upside here on the hourly. We will kind of have to see if it can get that continuation, because it is starting to lose a little bit of that there. Could definitely see that curvature back towards the downside. Silver Days XRP saying, I'm new. Hey, I've seen you here for quite a while, Silver Days XRP. I wouldn't necessarily call you new. You've definitely been in the chats for quite a while. We got that 15-minute. Also looking extremely toppy here. Seeing those reversal signals flashing all over again. Got that money flow with some heavy curvature here. We would need to find some local support. We do have an area directly towards the downside, about 107, where we could potentially see a little bit of bouncing at on the shorter term time frame, but really looking toppy on those higher term time frames. So we'll have to see if we can find the support down there before we can get a stronger move towards the upside there. You've got plenty of resistance directly above us as well, up at about $1.25. So that'd be that other area to kind of keep your eye on towards the upside if you can get above 118. So few levels towards the upside, definitely got some levels towards the downside though. That was virtuals for you. We took a look at Link as well, so let's take a look at some ZBEC. That was that last request on the list, and it's almost time to wind the show on down. It did not get the right one there. There we go. ZBEC. We called out some levels towards the upside and towards the downside there. Looks like we broke those levels towards the downside, came to some stronger support, but we found some nice little momentum there. Came up to our resistance area, really trying to get back above 00301. We do have some nice resistance directly above us. We will have to see if we can get above. We are looking a little bit bottomed there on the 15-minute. Let's get this zoomed on out though. Take a look at that daily. Daily also looking nice and bottomed. Not too unexpected with this nice little bottoming action we had seen down there. Could definitely see a little bit of a move below where we're sitting now before we see that stronger bouncing action. 0027 would be a nice kind of area to keep your eye on. We would have to break 0029 first though. So let's get that horizontal drawn off of the lows that we've been holding there. Looks like it comes all the way from back there. There we go, 0028. That's that area to kind of see if we can hold, as we saw our shorter term time frame resistance area coming in as our resistance, and we're below what was our nice support area to kind of see us hold. We did get that move directly to it, got a little bit of a bounce off of it, and then continued below it. So definitely looking just a little bit iffy there on the higher term time frame, as you're seeing a little bit of sideways momentum stepping on in, but nothing too drastic just yet. We do need some money flow, so keep your eye on those downside levels first before you really see that stronger bouncing. As you can see, just like one of those other ones we were looking at, got up to support and saw that red candle start printing. So definitely looking a little bit iffy there, seeing a little bit of sideways momentum coming on in on the 4 hour. You are starting to see that prime oscillator switch from light red to green. You just need some money flow. Volume is extremely low here, so looking for levels towards the downside to really see some volume start picking back up. We do see that hourly also looking extremely toppy here, failing to break above our zero line, seeing that sideways momentum come in, prime oscillator getting that curvature, volume starting to pick back up, but it looks like with this volume starting to pick back up, it is just a lot of selling pressure. Let's see what's going on 15-minute in the morning, see where we might get a little bit of bouncing action at. Looking like 0029 6 would be that level to kind of see some short-term bouncing at. We will kind of have to see if we can get above 00301 to see that stronger move above. Definitely need to get above 00306 if you want to see that move back up to 00315. So got some nice strong resistance directly towards the upside. We will kind of have to see if we can get a little more cool off here on about that hourly time frame to that 15-minute time frame. Bitcoin is lacking the fire. Let's see, is it? Yep, seeing that nice little bounce off of VWAP, but we could definitely lose a VWAP this morning. So keep your eye on that. We are seeing that lack of money flow still. New York Open could be that big switch up. Still looking for lower pretty much across the board though. So thanks for everyone tuning on in today. We've got 2 other shows here on the Piper Academy that we do every single weekday. We've got that morning market report at 10 a.m. Eastern time. That is the place to be for the macro data. Tune into that one. We've got a lot coming out this week. We've also got Trading with OC at 7 p.m. Eastern time. That's the place to be if you like to make some money and you like to have some fun. He also puts a tinfoil hat on occasionally. So if you like some of that, make sure to tune in to Trading with OC. But until next time, make sure to wake up because today's going to be a good day.
Wake up, charts glowing like a sunrise dream. Coffee in my cup, got the tickers on the screen. Wallet looking heavy, but my heart stay light. Stacking sets, not stress, yeah, we'll be alright. Late nights in the bear zone, learn to fight alone. Now the green candles burning through the monochrome. Every dip's a lesson, every loss a line. We're writing our story one block at a time. Well, good morning, crypto, the world's still spinning slow. But our coins keep climbing where the fiat won't go. Another day, chance to grow. So plug in the stream, let the markets flow. Screens flash red, but I don't lose faith. Pain breeds patience, that's the trader's grace. From the bottom to the top, we just play our role. Turn volatility into solid gold. We've been broke, we've been bold, chasing dreams that can't be sold. Every block, every code, it's the anthem of the new age road. Good morning, crypto, yeah, it's time to go. Stack your dreams, let the future show. We ride the waves through the highs and lows. Good morning, crypto, let the whole world know. Wake up, log in, and light that spark. The bull's out early, let's make our mark.
GM